All right. So I wanna do this real quick. It's a lesson in history, okay? Because I was watching Jimmy Dore and they have Michael, the son of Michael Parenti, talk about Cuba. He doesn't know what he's talking about, okay? And I used to watch Jordan Peterson, the Canadian guy who's whatever, talk about communism. He has no idea what the fuck he's talking about. So, 1989, when communism ended in Romania, take your hand out of your head. I was 14, okay? I went on the streets. I thought it was a real revolution. It was all fake. I tell you the story with the shooting the house? Did I tell you the story when they're shooting the house?
So in 1990?
1989. The people got on the street, overthrew Ceausescu, who was the president. They had a fake trial, and they shot him, both him and his wife, right away. It was just like they knew they're gonna kill him. They're trying to take all of his wealth that he had, okay? So, my father was anti-communist. My grandfather was anti-communist. We used to listen to Free Europe, foreign radio station. It was illegal. You could be put in jail. There are all these, the Secret Service, the Romanian Secret Service was listening to us, everything we're talking in the house. They had shit in the phone, whatever. My father got on the street, had a nunchuck and a knife. It's like he was yelling at everybody, hey, get the fuck out, let's change the government, right? You cowards, get out, right? And the next morning, I went, because the phones were off. I went to the hospital to see him, and then I heard gunshots, and I told my mom, I was 14. I said, hey, I want to go and help. She's like, no. I said, I want to go and help. They're shooting people. So we went there, and there's a bunch of idiots shooting a house. Somehow they got guns. And it ends up, it was a black cat in the fucking house, and they destroyed the house. They kept shooting the house, right? So it was all bullshit. All right.
What if there was a dead guy in there?
There was not. There was a black cat. The idea was the revolution was fake, done by both KGB and CIA, trying to overthrow Ceausescu. Why? Because Ceausescu, the Romanian guy, has paid the national debt. So the International Monetary Fund, what they do, they want to pretend they loan you money, kind of like gangsters. They pretend to loan you money, and when you can't pay back, I want this, I want the gold mines, I want these resources, and they fuck you over. Like somebody said in one of the podcasts, there's no situation where the International Monetary Fund helped any countries. So Ceausescu had factories of making military weapons to all these Arab people, Gaddafi, Saddam, and all these guys, and he was selling them weapons. He had factories, right? So he paid the national debt. That was unacceptable. Take your feet down.
Why? I have pants over them.
I don't give a fuck about the pants. Take your feet down. So that's unacceptable, because if they can't use you, if they can't bleed you dry, these foreign countries, all of them, the smaller countries, they want to empty of resources, like in the song, right? So if you're independent, they don't like it. So they throw up a revolution, like they did in Guatemala, like they did in everywhere in the world, right? They want to overthrow the government. They want all the governments of the smaller countries to be slaves to the bigger countries, right? So that's why they took down Ceausescu. All right. My grandfather knew King Carl II. He had a big dick, and he always was semi-strong because he couldn't have it go to sleep. He was walking around with a dick like this. He was kind of like King Edward of England. I think Edward was his name. He left. He was supposed to be king, but then he left with the mistress, whatever, Vulpescu, maybe it was her name, and he put his infant son in charge, right? And I think he came back. I don't know the exact detail. I think he came back, and then the General Antonescu said, fuck you, you're an idiot, and took over from him, made him leave again. Yeah, because he was friends with the legionnaires, who were kind of nationalistic people. They kind of, I don't know if they're good or bad. I mean, there's opinions about them, both things. They're for sure bad after they killed their leader. My grandfather knew Iuliu Maniu, who was the top politician in the country, who negotiated with the Allies to be on the same side. He got fucked over, and as a consequence, he got sent in jail, died in jail. We've been to his jail. He was friends with, he knew Codreanu, who's the boss of the legionnaires, the one that got assassinated, they arrested him on false pretense, and then they said he was trying to escape and assassinated him under the direction of Carl II. He knew everybody. He knew Duca, another prime minister that got assassinated. He knew everybody, okay? He has pictures of all these people because he was a newspaper guy. And he wrote, when they killed Prime Minister Armand Călinescu, he wrote in the news. What are you doing?
Put this in my head. I'm listening to you. It doesn't matter.
Okay, he wrote in the newspaper. You have pictures with him. He wrote in the newspaper condemning the legionnaires for killing this guy because they killed a bunch of people after they assassinated their leader. Because these guys all colluded to assassinate the leader. He wrote in the newspaper, and the legionnaires were trying to catch him, and they came from two sides of the train while he was in the train, and he jumped out, and he survived, but he broke his leg. And then he got shot by the communists, and he died with a bullet in the liver, but he died when he was 80, but they couldn't remove the bullet in the liver. That's a long story. We can go in detail. Okay, his father, my great-grandfather, died when they had, it's called collectivization, meaning nobody was supposed to be rich anymore, and they took, his father was a small farmer. They had a few cows and a little bit of land and a few horses, right? And they confiscated everything. So because of that, he had a heart attack, right? So my family was big time anti-communist, right? Again, I got on the street to fight them. I mean, I didn't know what I was doing. My father was anti-communist, my grandfather. So that's my idea of it, where I'm approaching communism from. We hated it. We listened to foreign radio stations. We thought America is the greatest. The Americans are the best people in the world. And your knees are absolutely fabulous.
Great. I'm
Okay. So that's my mindset that I'm going to talk about this because I hear Jordan Peterson talk about it. He's an idiot. Michael, the son of Michael Parenti, maybe he doesn't know what he's talking about. Okay. All right. We hated communism. Now, World War II, just real quick. World War II, what happened? The Russians invaded Poland. That's why I put it in the song. And in the Katyn Forest, they had a factory making sound, and they had everybody who's anybody in Poland, doctors, lawyers, officers, go in to the front door. They shot them in the head, take them out.
Russia made a pact before.
They were allied with Hitler, Ribbentrop, right?
No, they were allied.
With Germany. Go.
They made a pact so they wouldn't attack each other, and they would stand alliance. And then Germany attacked us, so that's why World War II started.
No, not really. No, Germany, Ribbentrop-Molotov was a deal between the Russians and Germany. They both attacked Poland from north and from the south. The Russians got there first, killed a bunch of people. They had a bunch of these factories, not just the Katyn Forest massacre. They had a bunch of them, like 70 locations where they killed a bunch of people. Then they tried to blame it on the Germans, but it was proven it was them. Right. And then they came in a Tucker interview with Vladimir Putin. He says, so the Russians came, Romania was like this, right? So the Russians came and took this part and Moldavia, right? They took it, they confiscated. The Hungarians and the Horthy. What are you doing? You drunk? The Hungarians and the Horthy came in and took this part of Transylvania, right? And they started killing and massacring a bunch of Romanians, right? So Romania was kind of chopped up. And the General Antonescu, who now they're trying to make him sound like shit. So he had Hitler here, he had the Russians here, and he had the Hungarians here. So he had to mitigate everything, right? So then he made a deal with Hitler. It's like, hey, go and get your land back from the Russians, right?
He made a deal with Hitler.
Well, yeah, because the Russians took our land. And he made a deal with Hitler to go and recuperate our land from the Russians.
Why is he dealing with Hitler, though? That's so weird and bad.
Because there's the only, when you have a bunch of wolves, you got to ally with one of the wolves to get your shit back, right? So he had no choice. I mean, he was attacked from three sides.
Why do you need your shit back?
It's the land. The land of the country, right? So you went out with the Russians, against the Russians, and then Hitler was trying to push him even further. He's like, no, I don't want to do that. And then they made a deal with the Allies. This is like very kind of like superficial history. They made a deal with the Allies. Said, hey, we're going to go. Germans are trying to push us further. We don't want to do it. And they made a deal to go after the Germans. All of them were enemies, right? None of them was our friend. Everybody was an enemy. So they decided to not go with the Germans anymore. They were promised a bunch of stuff. And then they started fighting the Germans. There was a lot of people dying fighting the Germans. Also, the Germans lost the oil fields at Ploiești and Pitești, so they couldn't supply their army. and they lost a lot of land real quick. They're saying that if this wouldn't have happened, the Germans would have had enough time to make the nuclear weapon. More so, the Romanians. Are you listening?
Yeah.
Went in and liberated all these countries from the Germans. They went from Czechoslovakia all the way to Berlin. So they were promised independence and all their land back from everybody, and instead they got cheated, right? All right, so this is the short thing. So Romanians went and liberated everything all the way to Germany. Now, at the end of World War II, Roosevelt, they had two paths, Malta and Yalta, I think. So Roosevelt was a big-time pussy, right? Churchill was against the Russians. Roosevelt was kind of senile, maybe. And he was in awe of Stalin. Stalin was a loser. He was nobody. He couldn't have won World War II without the Americans, right? But Stalin pretended he's tough, right? And when they negotiated, they let the Russians keep the actual land, which now they give it to Ukraine. That's what Putin was saying, because that's Romanian land, half of fucking southern Ukraine. It's not their shit. They only got off the World War. Ukraine is a made-up country, right? So that's Romanian land. And also they were allowed to have...
We should make a war to get it back?
No, they were allowed to have influence over Eastern Europe, right? The Russians are nobodies. They only survived because of the Americans, but they had a bunch of soldiers in Germany, and they were acting tough. General Patton said to the U.S. government, let me go after the Russians, I'll fuck them up in 2 days, right? That's why he's my favorite. He said, hey, I'm going to fuck up the Russians in 2 days. They didn't want to let him, and then he died suspiciously, super suspicious in a car crash. The driver that he had hit something, and it was very suspicious. I think he got killed, okay? And then this idiot president who had the nuclear bomb, I would have said to the Russians, what are you talking about? Well, I want this. Like, what? What do you want?
Are we talking about history or the Russians?
The Russians, yeah. So Stalin comes in, makes a big dick. I want this and I want this. I want Eastern Europe. What are you talking about, buddy?
It's a big dick?
No, he had a small dick, but, you know, it looked big in the shadows, in the wall. So the idea is like, he acts like he's got a big dick. So it's like, I want this, I want to control Eastern Europe. And I would have said to him, if I was the American president, did you see Hiroshima and Nagasaki where we killed a bunch of people? I got a nuclear bomb. What are you talking about? Go back to your fucking country. What do you mean, I want this, I want this? You get nothing. Get out of here, right? But it's a lot of shit behind closed doors. So they allow the Russians to suck all the Eastern Europe dry. Now, in World War II, real quick, because I want to get to the thing. In World War II, when the Russians came through, robbed, raped, and they were stealing watches, blankets. In the watch, they would put their ear and start laughing. My grandmother told me. When the Germans came through, they were neat, had nice clothes, they gave kids chocolate, they were respectful of everybody, they had their own food. The Russians were just fucking destroying everything. They're like locusts. Everybody was afraid of the Russians, even though when they came in, they're supposed to be allies, right? I told you, a Russian soldier shot a barrel and drowned in the wine because my grandfather was making wine, so he shot the barrel and he was sitting there drinking, then he drowned in the wine. Okay, everybody had to hide their daughters, right? Because they're raping everybody. Same thing happened in Germany. When they went to Germany, Berlin and wherever they went, they raped all the women and killed them, okay? So the Russians are no good. I don't know what the fuck Candace is talking about. Okay, so that's the situation. All right. Romania is supposed to be one of the winning countries, but we got treated like a losing country, right? Russians were the initial aggressors in Romania and Poland, and they're treated like the winners, even though they're a bunch of assholes. And Americans were pussies. They won the war, and the Russians had demands, and America said, good. And after that, because of these guys were pussies at the time, you had the Cold War for like 60 years. Cold War, right? Where the Russians were strong. Why? Because they sucked dry Hungary, they sucked dry Czech Republic, they sucked dry Bulgaria, they sucked dry Romania, they sucked dry, what other countries is in Eastern Europe? Czech Republic, all of Yugoslavia, which now it's split into different countries. You have Croatia, you have Montenegro, you have Serbia.
Ukraine?
Huh?
Ukraine?
No, Ukraine was theirs. It's a made-up country. All right. So the Russians said, number one, they confiscated the Romanian national treasury, which is all the historical artifacts from history, like from Dacian times and all the stuff. They confiscated it because they're assholes.
Can they give it back?
No. And that really is meaningful value. It's not really the gold. It's just because fuck you. That's why they confiscated. They still have it, all the historical artifacts, because Romania sent it to the Russians to be protected from the war. I think that happened during World War One, which was also against the Germans, and they never gave it back. All right, so this time, the Russians who came in and invaded Romania said Romania needs to pay reparations to the Russians because we went with the Germans against them initially, even though they were the fucking aggressors. Okay, so they built highways straight to Russia. And they're transporting all the gold, all the trees, all the grain, whatever the fucking they can take, right? But the Romanian leadership was smart and said, okay, did you have enough? Yeah, because there was a deal of how much they could take. All right, get the fuck out. Romania was the only country that told them had no Russian military army. And the guy who did it was a communist, Gheorghe Gheorghiu-Dej, right? He's like, get the fuck out, we paid you, whatever the fucking made up fucking bully kind of price you said, all right, get out. So they had to retreat their soldiers, right? And then they invited him to Moscow.
And you killed him?
When he came back, he died. Either they radiated him or they did something to him because he went there to visit and came back and he died. All right, and then the communists, right? So the Russia in all these countries, they enforce the communist regimes, right? That's their shit of governance. So they made all these countries communist. Nobody wanted to be communist, right? In Romania, they said sent Walter Roman and Ana Pauker, and they killed everybody who was anybody. They put them in jails and war camps, and they killed, not gulags like
So they were like the first Nazis?
They're Jewish, and they were sent in to coordinate the extermination of the intellectual class. Anybody who was anybody, unless they were communists, they got killed. And even the good communists, because there's some good communists, they fought with a good opinion, they got killed. Petrushkanu got killed. There's a lot of guys that got killed, all right? Iuliu Maniu got killed.
You want my food?
Not right now. So you went to that jail where everybody got killed, including priests and everybody else, okay? Anyways, Gheorghe Gheorghiu-Dej, even though he was a communist, told the Russians, get the fuck out, you're done, all right? So then when he died, everybody's kind of moving around, they're doing a lot of maneuvering, like who's the good guy, and they chose Ceausescu, they thought he's an idiot, right? So, okay, you get it, because they felt that he was not a threat to anybody, right? So he got it, and then he was smart about doing whatever he was doing, and he accumulated power. My grandmother beat him when he was young, I told you that, because they're from the same region and going to the same school. All right, so what he did, he was independent he was the only communist that didn't suck dick, okay? He was the only one that had an opinion. Like when Russians attacked, because there was a revolution in Czech Republic and Hungary, he was the only one that spoke against the Russians and said that what the Russians are doing, it's wrong, okay? And then Jimmy Carter came to visit, and I think Nixon came to visit because they're trying to have a relationship with him. So the Romania was kind of communist, kind of independent. Now, I hear Jordan Peterson, who's a moron. He knows certain things, but overall he's a moron, and he's kind of a liar too. He wants to be on the side of capitalism. You know what I mean? Kind of like Candace chose the Republicans. The Republicans are the best. He's doing the stuff with the capitalists. Capitalists are the best. Okay. Communism. People are talking about communism. You don't fucking know what communism is. Number one, they had free education. Okay? They had free medical. Everybody went to the hospital. And it's not like they had to wait for 3 days. You wait a little bit, but you get your medical. And the medical shit was tops, because my parents are doctors, right? Now, food. You get food. You had like a little notebook. You get a certain amount of eggs, certain amount of meat, certain amount of this. Right? You didn't have a lot. But you were not fat, right? Food was just food, right? You could get a little bit. Some people had farms. Now, you couldn't have exotic fruits like bananas and oranges you'd only get for Christmas if you're lucky, right? But you could get apples and whatever. All kinds of berries.
You were alive during the Vietnam War, right?
No, not during
When
it.
are the-
Maybe towards the end. But listen,
Can we get more comfortable chairs?
yeah, we're going to get chairs.
Yeah,
Because
my back hurts.
for the princess. All right, sit down. Let me finish real
I'm
quick.
sitting.
Let me finish real quick. So in communism, the way
Not
life...
bad. Yeah, okay, we get
Well,
it.
no, it's not all bad. I'm trying to explain it. So, number one, that's the most important thing, and it's one of those things you don't realize you have it until you lose it, right? Number one thing was safety. Nobody was fucking raping kids. Nobody was a pedophile. I mean, if somebody would have been a pedophile, the people would have just ripped them to pieces. Like, nobody was a pedophile. You had a few serial killers, maybe one every like 10 years or 20 years, which are really the fucked up people in the head. Right? Life was, people just played and played chess, and they, you know, kind of like Cuba, right? And the kids said, they go outside and play, come back home. When you're hungry, we used to play soccer all day. That's why these poor countries have an advantage over the rich countries in soccer, because that's all they do. It's 20 kids to a ball and they play, and then that's all they do all day. You know, the civilized countries, I got to drive you an hour there, an hour back. You got to stay for an hour, and I got to pay $500 a week for each, right? That's what civilized countries are, right? So the poor people cannot get introduced to soccer. So basically the rich countries get the best kids out of the rich, not rich, but I'm saying the people that can afford it. The poor kids don't have a chance. In Brazil, in Argentina, all across the Africa. That's why these guys are very skilled, because that's all they do all day. Okay, so we used to play. I used to walk to school, like an hour to school, an hour back. Nobody fucked with you. Okay, because of safety. Maybe people were afraid of consequences, whatever it was. Super safe. So life was kind of simple. You didn't have a lot of shit. You didn't have fancy cars. You didn't have fancy clothes. You had good enough clothes, good enough food. I mean, there was no chemicals in the food. Right? Stop down, because I want to go fast with this. Okay. All right. So the idea of communism is another system of governance, same as capitalism. I'm not saying it's better or worse, because in communism, the problem is it was never allowed to develop freely. There's these people, because they're always under some kind of attack, so they say we got to retain power, and plus they're greedy, and they didn't play by the rules, right? There's rules for poor people and there's rules for rich people. If I ask you, what's the perfect political system? And you say communism, I say you're correct. Capitalism, you're correct. Democracy, you're correct. Royalty, you're correct. What's the perfect political system? You say tyranny, I say you're correct. Why? Because they all work if they have good people in charge. If you have assholes in charge, none of them works, right? Because of the different sets of rules, right? So these people, the political party members, they had more stuff. But they didn't have 20 houses, right? They had maybe 1 or 2 houses, maybe 1 or 2 cars, because people could see and say, hey, look at this. This guy is rich, right? Now, the problem where capitalism is better is because some people are lazy, some people are hardworking. And you say, well, should the hardworking person do the same as the lazy person, right? That's the debate. Obviously not, because if you work harder, you shouldn't be at the same level with the lazy person, right? Or if you're smarter, right? But then also, like capitalism, all of it is like a set of rules for the rich people. They control the government. They make rules and laws for themselves, how to make more money. They lie to you about trickle-down economics. They elect their own people to get favorable laws, like they're doing now in Utah, right? We're going to have the taxpayer pay for data centers. We're going to use the data centers to enslave people. And we're going to have the taxpayer pay for the energy used to enslave people, right? Insane, right? So whatever they say, it doesn't work with capitalism. It's a lie. Rich people have their own shit. So I don't know. Communism, it was not the worst. I mean, people say, oh, communism was... No, actually, it's not a failed system. It's another system that wasn't perfect, right? Life was simpler. And then when I went to Cuba, that's when I realized safety. Do you understand? Like, I cannot walk here on the street, like maybe somebody's going to shoot me. Like, that's why I shot down on 4th of July, because there was fog everywhere. It's like these people shoot at people all the time. And it's not just because they had guns. It's just people are insane, right?
Tati, so I guess the question is, if there was only a system of bad people, what would be the best government?
The system, the best, is where the poor people have oversight over the government. Now it can be done with technology. Like I said, if you're an elected politician, you should be, like an out of the song, you should be 100% under surveillance. Because if they can do it with cops, they can do it with politicians. Nothing you do, nothing you say should be secret. Like the secrecy, that's what they lie about. They have all these institutions that they're designed to retain power, FBI, CIA. Really, take it easy with that stuff, right? Whatever. So what I'm saying, that capitalism is a lie, democracy is a lie, because you don't get to vote for anything. They're all kind of the same. Now, the reason why communism was demonized so much, to where it got to the point that even somebody, oh, he's a communist, like they did to Bernie Sanders, like Obama, the piece of shit, said, oh, comrade. Why did you say that to Bernie Sanders, comrade? Like to demean him because he was pushing Hillary Clinton, who's a murderer with her husband, right?
Murder? What do you mean?
Well, yeah, they kill people, fucking the Clintons. They rape kids and kill people. Sit down.
Yeah, talk, I'm hearing.
So they demeaned just by saying communism. So America's been brainwashed, like I said in the one before about slogans. Brainwashed. Communism is the worst. Communism is the worst. Why is it the worst? It's just another thing. Why is it the worst? Because rich people, okay, in Russia, what they did, they went in and confiscated all the rich people's stuff. Confiscated all the rich people, and they killed a bunch of royalty. They did the same in Cuba, right? Right? All right? And that's the only system, like I said, in history where the poor people won a certain amount of power. And where, as a poor people, you had a chance, right? Because before, if you're poor, like, nobody would look up. You know, you're just a peasant, right? And they confiscated it. So it's the only, like, Spartacus lost, all the revolutions in England, all the revolutions in France, everything. America was kind of fake because the rich people got it and they got it for themselves. So never the poor people got power, right? So these people kind of, poor got power, killed everybody, took their money, okay? So that's why communism was demonized to where you only say communism, everybody should be afraid, is because the only system where the rich people and the royalty lose their power. That's why it's demonized, not because it's worse. It's just another system. Okay, moving on from this. Because everybody's talking about Cuba. Like, they fucking have no idea about Cuba.
Hey, take a breath. Take a breath.
Yeah, one more thing. Capitalism, you're actually under more surveillance than the communists did. The communists you had to do by hand. These fuckers, they record everything, so you don't have privacy. What do you have? What do you have? You have food with chemicals. You have water with chemicals. What else you have? Fucking fake medical bullshit. You got to pay out of your ass. You're a slave to the money. It looks like you're making.
Out of my ass.
Yeah, you look. It looks like you're making money, but listen, it looks like you're making money, but the money doesn't get anywhere because they take it the next day with bullshit stuff, right? So capitalism, you're a slave to the money and you never get to it. If you're poor, it's really hard. They say work hard, work hard. I worked hard all my life. I never got anywhere. As soon as you work hard, because the stories we used to say in Romania, you work hard, somebody's going to notice you, move up. No. If you work hard, you know what? My experience was, oh, you can do this? How about you 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 do this? And the money is the same. It's like, hey, buddy, like for Butachi, when I worked out, they had 5 logistics guys to do logistics. Okay, then he fired everybody. I was just me, and the money the same. Like, go and fuck yourself. All right. All right, so capitalism is not a lot better. And plus, you have all the disgusting stuff with pornographic and pedophilia and thievery and fuckery. All they teach you all the time. There's a book that I want to read about. They use sex. Everything is sex. I turn the TV on at 3 o'clock in the afternoon. What do I see? Some guy with a knife killing a woman. Right? Oh, that's legal. Right? And sex, kissing, fucking. Okay, all right. Relax with the shit, right? Because these images, they claim that the violent shooting games and stuff, they don't affect your brain. It kind of does, right? If you see a bunch of shit, whatever. Okay, now go back to Cuba because everybody's talking about Cuba. They have no idea what the fucking Cuban thing is. I've been to Cuba 4 times. I stayed there about a month. What are you doing over there? What are you doing over there? You paying attention?
Not really.
Please. All right, so.
I mean, it's just kind of getting boring. But you can continue.
This Cuba shit is interesting.
To
All right.
you?
Yeah, to me.
Not bad.
All right, so Cuba. What was Cuba? Cuba was Spanish Armada robbing the Incas and the Aztecs. They would come around with the gold, right? The people that fought Elizabeth I. They come in with the gold, stop in Havana, and then from Havana come to Europe because there's a lot of currents in the water, right? So all the fleet of Spanish treasury fleet would stop through Havana to go over there. So that's how they built Havana, right? And the Spanish had control of Cuba for a long time, right? And the Cubans, which basically the original people were the Taínos, which we saw in Baracoa, the little fishing village. That's all the only people that were left. With that guy with one eye, there was Geronimo. I can go and talk to him now and say we're the same. Okay, so the Spanish had control of Cuba. The Cubans had 2 revolutions.
Lots of stuff happening.
And they lost. 2 revolutions and they lost. And one of them was that poet, that I really like his poem that Andy Garcia uses in his Lost Havana or Lost City.
Emiliano.
No. No.
Dominichino. The 3rd of Baracalaco.
Oh, if you're doing bullshit. Hey! I'm trying to remember stuff. If you're doing bullshit kind of conversation, doesn't mean anything. fucking.
I'm trying to remember that I'm saying all these
Oh, don't do that. Don't do that. That's The Lost City. The poem of the fuck.
That one guy.
The poem of one guy.
Yeah, a poem of that one guy.
Okay, shut up.
Me, you're so moody.
Jose Marti. And I didn't even see it because I didn't see it. I remember it. As soon as I put Cuban poem, I just meant Jose Marti. So Jose Marti was a poet. They came to America, came back, and he wanted to. He was a famous. He wrote a super.
Sorry, continue. What's his poem? What is it called?
They use it in songs. It's an amazing poem. One of my favorites.
If it's so amazing, say it from memory.
I'm fucked up in the head right now. I don't remember everything. I'll translate it for you. Shut up.
What are you so rude?
Cuban poet, okay. National hero. He got killed on a. He went in and rode because they were fighting with machetes against the Spanish with guns,
Yeah, okay, and what happened?
and he got killed.
From a
Okay,
dog.
this is the poem. Okay, he got killed. He was riding on a white horse. He knew he was going to be martyred, and he felt. So I am a sincere
So
man.
how did he die?
Okay, listen to this. This is the poem. I am a sincere man from the land where the palm trees grow. And all I want before I die, I don't know what this is. Whoever translated this is an idiot. My
My
soul
soul's versus
to bestow. Yeah, I don't think that's accurate. I'm a traveler to all parts and a newcomer to none. I'm art amongst the arts with the mountain. Nah, come on, get the fuck out of here with this translation.
Alright, so how did he die?
Okay, it doesn't matter. Whatever this fucking translation. Okay, hey, he was riding on a white horse in front of the army.
Is he stupid?
Hombre sincero. Hombre sincero. Okay. Su nombre muy sincero. Okay, so that's on this. Okay.
Wait, let me try.
Okay, what the fuck is going on with
Yes,
this?
sir. Yes, sir.
Yo soy un hombre sincero. It's one of my favorite poems. Okay, listen to this. Bridesmaids? What the fuck? What the fuck is going on here? Sincere man I am.
I
Get
know,
the
but
fuck- How do I close this bridesmaid thing?
Ah, yes.
Okay.
so you know.
Okay, awesome. Yo soy un hombre sincero. I'm a sincere man.
Yeah.
De donde crece la palma, where the palm trees grow. Y antes de morir quiero, and before I die I want, echar mis versos del alma. Del alma means soul, I don't know what echar. To write, maybe is to write echar, which is to write these.
Tata, copy and paste and translate.
No,
Yeah,
because,
Google Translate.
hey,
Tata.
to write these verses of my soul. Yo vengo de todas partes y hacia todas partes voy. I come from all the parts, the different parts, and I'm going all in all. I come from all directions. Todas partes. The Cubans all they know how to say todas modos, todas partes, todas. Everything is todas. It's a shit language, and I'll be honest with you, for poems, because they have a phrase and it means fucking 50 different things. Yo vengo. I come from all directions, and
Yo.
and I go in all directions. Okay. Okay. I am an art amongst the arts. Okay, listen, this is funny. And amongst the mountains, I am a mountain. This is amazing. Amongst the mountains, I am a mountain, meaning that you don't change your opinion from yesterday.
Oh, okay.
Wait. Let's see
Can
if
I
you say,
be a giraffe?
among the triplets, I am a triplet.
Yeah, I don't know what this poem is. They, whatever. This is a
Giraffe.
different poem.
You're a
They
giraffe.
started like this. This is not the same poem.
Yo o chico tito.
Okay.
No, you are a giraffe.
How did he die again?
Got fucked in the ass by a horse, like Maria Teresa. Come on, get the fuck out of here.
Did a dog
He was
die?
riding above the army by the white horse.
Oh yeah,
because
this
he
is
was
the
dumb.
song. Hey, be respectful. The Lost City. Okay, I don't want to see the movie.
The Lost Cringy.
No trailer.
Cuban poem when they singing.
Come on, be respectful, because it's good stuff.
I don't even know.
Alright, listen to this. Listen to this. It's an amazing song, one of my favorites. One of my favorite songs. Listen, I think it's translated.
Yo soy un hombre sincero.
I'm a sincere man.
¿De dónde crece la palma?
From where the palm trees grow.
Y antes de morir me quiero
And before death takes me,
echar mis versos.
I want to
al
let
alma.
the poem soar from my soul. Exactly what I said.
Yo vengo de todas
I
partes.
come from everywhere
Y hacia todas partes voy.
and I go everywhere. Come on, it's amazing.
Antes soy entre las artes.
I am an art amongst the arts,
Y en los montes.
and amongst the mountains, I'm a mountain.
Monte soy.
Meaning you keep your word. Nobody can move you. No cowardice.
Todo es hermoso
Is
y
this a good
constante.
movie?
Yeah. Everything is beautiful and
Todo es
constant.
música y razón.
Everything is music and the right thing.
Todo como el diamante.
That's amazing. And everything like the diamond
Antes que luz.
is charcoal before being light. Antes que luz es carbón. It's, come on.
Yo,
And this
couldn't
phone
see
died.
half-
Whatever. It's amazing. And for the poem says for the person that's sincere that I what
Tata, I know we can read.
Oh, yeah. Okay, it's on. I was like,
the person that put it to charge because I want to finish it before. Put it. Don't move the other one.
Tata, I couldn't see half the
Ding
thing
dong,
because you were
ding
just
dong.
doing.
You couldn't hear half the thing because I
I
was.
couldn't see half the thing.
Okay, it's one of the best poems ever written
And
by
Tata,
Jose
we
Marti.
can read. You don't have to say the whole poem.
Yeah, but Bogdan doesn't. Come on, put it to charge and get over here. Let
are
me
you
finish.
slow?
Let it down now. Let me finish the story.
It's
Okay,
80%, bro.
80%.
Yeah.
All right, sit down.
Yo.
Okay.
My phone died.
Okay, so they had these two revolutions. China escaped from the Spanish. Then Teddy Roosevelt showed up on the San Juan Hill in Santiago with the Rough Riders. Teddy Roosevelt's father was a coward. He didn't get involved in the Civil War. And then Teddy Roosevelt was my favorite president. Was trying to prove that he's a hero. And he went up the hill with the horses, and it's a great story that how courageous he was. Now, when we went to Cuba on San Juan Hill, the Cubans were kind of bullshitting. They said that he was in the Spanish were out of bullets, and obviously that hill is kind of a small hill. It's not a big hill. Like it's a piece of shit hill.
Goalkeepers, and why is it so cool?
I can run in 2 minutes all the way up to the top. It's like it's not a huge hill. Whatever. Assuming I give the benefit of the doubt here, Teddy Roosevelt was courageous. Even those guys were out of bullets. They said that the Spanish were pretty much beat because they hit them with cannons or something. Whatever the story is, stop fucking with this.
The fuck?
I want you to listen. Okay, so he gave Cuba independence.
Go out for Cuba.
All right. In Cuba,
What is it?
prior to the Fidel Castro revolution, had Batista, who initially was a good guy, and he had one of the most progressive constitutions.
I'm listening. I just need a little break.
Tata,
Wanna-
stop making mocking him.
Okay, he had one of the most progressive. You know what constitution is?
Yeah.
Okay, so he wrote one of the most progressive in the whole world. A lot of people used it to make their own constitutions. He was a good guy. And then same as Teddy Roosevelt abdicated, put Taft, I think Taft, he put Taft, who was an idiot. He
I'm
hoped,
listening.
he hoped that Taft is going to continue his legacy, but Taft actually got in with the big shots, with the big money, fucked it over, and he started running again. Same thing with Batista.
Oh, okay, Baptiste, I'm listening.
So Batista put another idiot in charge, and this guy is fucking up everything he did, and then he started running for re-election. Initially, he was a good guy. Now, Fidel Castro, who was a young lawyer from a wealthy family, started running for president against Batista because nobody wanted him to come back. I don't know why, but all right, Batista really thought he was going to lose the election, so he took power by force with the military. Right? He said, "Fuck these elections. I'm going to take power by force." Now, Fidel Castro was a young guy, and there was another guy in Santiago. I can't remember his name. Frank Pais. There was another guy, Frank Pais, were leading a counter-revolution against Batista, right? I mean, their idea was kind of stupid. They decided to attack, with like 20 people, the Moncada barracks. Didn't make a whole lot of sense because the Moncada barracks is a bunch of soldiers and you show up with 20 guys. They thought they're going to get a guy. I don't understand the whole idea behind the plan. Somehow before this happened, Frank Pais got betrayed. A lot of people say that he got betrayed by Fidel Castro, and he got captured by the Secret Service of Batista with the CIA help and tortured and murdered. All right. When the attack on the Moncada barracks happened, Fidel Castro pretended he was late. Whatever the fucking thing was, I don't know what his plan was. But everybody got captured and a lot of them got shot and killed. Fidel Castro ran into the mountains, but somehow he got captured. The orders from the government was kill Fidel Castro. But one of the black police officers took a picture with him, proving that he got captured alive. So they couldn't kill him right then and there. They put him in jail. He was kind of married to somebody high up in the government. So that's once they couldn't kill him because he got captured alive. He got married to the daughter of some kind of minister. Somehow they let him come out of a jail, but they were hoping to kill him as he comes out. But what he did, he ran away to Mexico. In Mexico, he met with Camilo Cienfuegos, the guy with the big white hat, the good-looking guy with the big white hat and a beard, and Che Guevara, right? Che Guevara was an Argentinian doctor. If you watch the diaries of the motorcycle thing, he was a good doctor trying to help people to the poor communities. Somehow, long story short, ends up in Guatemala, marries a woman, and he's there when the Arbenz CIA coup. So Arbenz in Guatemala was a good president trying to help people. And the CIA, same thing with Ceausescu in Romania. They don't like it because they want the country to be a prisoner of the United States. They trained about 1,000 fucking idiots in some jungle. And they broadcasted on radio that they have a big army coming, approaching the capital. It was all fake. I mean, they had 1,000 people. And then they're going with some kind of airplanes. They're dropping Coca-Cola bottles like it's bombs. It's all fake. And then the generals got afraid and arrested Arbenz, right? And maybe they killed him. I don't know. But I think they killed him or whatever. They arrested him. Okay, let's, you say I got 80%.
Yeah, you got 800. The fuck? Shimmy on, shimmy on, shimmy on.
Arbenz, Guatemala. I think they killed him, to be honest with you. Or he committed suicide, or they killed him, they suicided him.
They suicided him.
Dumb. How do you suicide somebody? Suicide.
Exactly, how you said, yeah.
They suicided.
Jacob Arbenz, Guatemala. See, former president of Guatemala. Well, he died in 71, so maybe not. Was a government politician, the minister, national defense, okay. Before he came second president, okay. Which river someone, okay. Okay, so
it says your time of death.
no, time of death, it's not then, because it was before that. So it had to be in 50-something. Military career, marriage, October Revolution, defense ministership, okay.
They suicided
Wait for it.
United Fruit Company, that's the company. United Fruit. It's fine. United Fruit Company, since it smells like fruits. United Fruit Company was controlling all Latin America and Cuba and stuff. And they were involved with the CIA in overthrowing a lot of these United Fruit Companies. Okay, whatever. If he died in 71, he didn't get killed. Okay, he got captured. They arrested him. Maybe he fled to Spain. I can't remember all of it. Sit down. Okay, so while he was there, Che Guevara saw this. How United States gets involved in all these countries with the United Fruit Company, and they fuck all these countries over. Countries want to be independent and help their own people. Okay, so somehow he meets with Fidel Castro in Mexico, might be Mexico City, and they meet with the Cienfuegos, who used to be a baseball player. He went to America, came back, good-looking guy, and they're all talking about the revolution, right? All right. So from Mexico City, shut up for a second, please. Put the fucking thing down.
What did he even say?
Okay, listen to me. So they're talking, they decided, he's not paying attention. So they decided to go back and start a counter-revolution in Cuba, right? Their idea is they purchased a boat, some guns. The boat was named Grandma, right? It had, I think, maybe 200 people. Or maybe 80, I don't know.
Classic name, Grandma.
Grandma, that was the name of it. They still have it. We saw it in Havana. They have the boat.
Abuela.
So they came in, they caught a storm. I think one of the boats came down. Maybe they had two boats. And then when they washed ashore, the Secret Service of Batista were waiting for them. They shot the majority of them. And then I think 20 people survived. Amongst them, Fidel Castro, Che Guevara, Jaime Costa was very important because he's going to testify in the murder of... Jaime Costa is going to testify in the murder of Cienfuegos by...
Killed Cienfuegos?
Yeah, they killed Cienfuegos. They claimed the airplane went down, but they killed him. All right. So these guys went in the mountains, right? And in the mountains, they had the thing called Radio Rebelde. Radio Rebelde. They kept talking revolution. Kind of the same thing the Americans did to Arbenz. They're pretending they're strong and they're doing stuff, and they had a bunch of revolutionary guys, right? Dressed in fatigues and green and stuff. Kind of like the Ukrainian people are trying to imitate. Always dressed in fatigues. All right, so they keep broadcasting. Batista, because a lot of people are unhappy. Okay, please, 2 seconds. I'm almost done. A lot of people are unhappy with the situation because what Cuba, the state, was, the peasants were super poor. They had nothing. They barely had any food. They had no education. They had nothing. The poor people in Cuba. And the Cuban stuff is basically what Las Vegas is now. All the mobsters controlled everything. It was a whorehouse. There's a movie that Martin Scorsese recommended. Kuznetsov. I think it's... movie Cuba. Movie Cuba, no. Cuba. I think maybe 1959 movie. 1959 movie Cuba. No, I mean, Russian movie. Russian movie. I Am Cuba, Soy Cuba, okay. By Mikhail Kalatozov, okay. And this movie kind of describes, so he was brought, hey, stop showing whatever you got between your legs. Stop showing that. So Kalatozov, Martin Scorsese found the movie. They spent a lot of money because Cuba, when it became communist, they sent a bunch of Russians. Kalatozov is a guy that's an amazing movie director. He won for The Cranes Are Free. He won the Palme d'Or. He's one of the best movie directors of all times. He was Russian. I forgot to put him in the song. He was actually maybe the fourth guy because Bolshoi is stolen from the French. All right. So he made this movie about the prostitution. There was a lot of prostitution in Havana. All the sailors were coming in. All the gangsters were coming in. The Cubans had nothing. Can you listen to me?
I'm listening.
Okay, the Cubans had nothing, right? So the people are unhappy with the government because they're kind of fucking just like slaves almost. You know what I mean? They didn't have even the rights to go in some of the hotels. All right. So then Fidel Castro was broadcasting to everybody else. Batista, there's Fidel Castro, there was Che Guevara, had his own group, and then you had Cienfuegos, and there was another guy called Uber Matos. He had his own group.
Uber.
You spell it with an H. Uber Matos, okay? Okay, I want you to stop playing with this because I'm almost done. Okay, so there was these guys up in the mountains, Sierra Maestra, and then another mountains over there by Vinales, right? Everybody had a bunch of soldiers. So then Batista started torturing a lot of the Cuban citizens with Secret Service and killing them, trying to find out these revolutionaries. And then he got maybe some help from CIA or somebody, because they went in and they killed 10,000 peasants. They went in the mountain. I think it was American help. They went in the mountains and they killed 10,000 of those people. The poor peasants, because they're saying they're helping the rebels, right? That's what they're called. Radio Rebel, they meaning the radio of the rebels, okay? And Fidel Castro was really good about propaganda. So he brought a newspaper guy from New York Times, right? To document the murders that they did, right? And he documented with pictures. And they went to New York and they published in the New York Times. And then the public opinion turned for Fidel Castro. The Americans were all for Fidel Castro, right? Because this guy was doing atrocities, right? And same thing with Ukraine. It was very popular with the movie star. Errol Flynn was big time in Havana trying to help. Hemingway was trying to help with guns and weapons. A lot of people, you know, there was another guy from, I think maybe Ohio, that became like a commander, and then he got executed by Fidel Castro because he betrayed him. All right, so they're doing a lot of transports with guns, and even the mobsters were involved supporting Fidel Castro, right? So it was a lot of American help, because America had the decision to go with Batista and to go with Fidel. And like smart people do, they sponsor both sides. And once they figure somebody's going to win, they're going to stick with the winning guy, right? And then as soon as he wins, if it goes against their shit, they're going to try and kill him. That's what happened, right? Che Guevara was a very courageous guy. They were shooting at him, and he went in and saved a bunch of people. Whatever. You know, he ended up being a murderer, but he was a very courageous guy. So maybe he thought he was doing the right thing, okay, with Cuba. All right, so these guys in Santa Clara, remember we went to that train where they overthrew the train with bulldozers, and then they stopped the military transport of soldiers, and the soldiers gave up and they took their weapons. That was Che Guevara in Santa Clara. Cienfuegos was coming from this other direction, and Fidel Castro and his brother Raul Castro were coming from Santiago, right? All right. And somehow the tide of the war kind of was switching a little bit. I don't know exactly when, but Batista fled the country, obviously after Santa Clara, because they were kind of marching towards the capital, the rebels, from different sides. Fidel Castro in Santiago was kind of, I don't know what he was doing, because he kind of seems like he's always kind of behind. Like he never showed up for the Moncada barracks. And then he was kind of taking his time from Santiago to come in. Anyway, so when these guys, Che Guevara with Camilo Cienfuegos, end up in the capital, Havana, and this guy leaves, Batista, with an airplane. He went to Spain. And Fidel Castro's coming from Santiago. Fidel Castro moved the capital to Santiago because he didn't want these guys to get the credit. So he moved the capital to Santiago as he was coming in. These guys were sitting there for him. And then he moved and arrived in Havana. Okay, then everybody, Fidel Castro. Okay, but obviously Che Guevara was Argentinian. So he's not Cuban. Cienfuegos was a good-looking guy. Fidel Castro was a good-looking guy. And might have been the father of the Justin Trudeau of Canada, because they look the same. And his mother was in Cuba. She probably got fucked by Fidel, because he was fucking a lot of women. But the mother of Fidel Castro, they look the same. I mean, it's identical. Anyways, so Cienfuegos was the guy with the big white hat, and he was really funny, laughing. The Cubans really loved him. There's a story that there was on the balcony, and Fidel Castro was giving a speech. And then Camilo showed up, and everybody like rose and applauded more than the Fidel Castro. Fidel Castro was kind of jealous of him. And then he turned around to Camilo Cienfuegos, and he said, "Am I doing okay, Camilo?" And he said, "Yeah, you're doing okay." You know, and they had fake doves that they threw away. Anyway, so he's kind of jealous. Raul Castro is the half brother, is not full brother, of kind of small, kind of ugly looking kid, because Fidel Castro was tall and good looking. He was a communist. Raul Castro was a communist. Che Guevara was a communist because he read a lot about a communist. And I think both of them had been to some kind of communist meeting in Germany before, or maybe just Raul. The idea was their side of communism, they were big fans of Stalin, and that French Revolution with Robespierre, where he just killed a bunch of people. So their theory of changing the system, and they might have been right, is just kill all the ones that, you know what I mean, that you feel they're compromised, so they don't make a counter-revolution. Maybe that makes some sense from their point of view. So they killed a lot of people, and a lot of people actually were innocent. You know, but they just killed them because there was suspicion. And a lot of people can denounce, like, I don't like you, I can denounce you, and then you're going to get killed because I said something about you. So it's not, they didn't do super thorough research. But obviously the people, a lot of the people, the majority of the people they killed in that cathedral, that was La Catedral. No, that was Pablo Escobar. But it was Castello del Moro, the one I have in the pictures. That's where they killed, they executed him, they shot him. And there's a story that a mother came in to Che Guevara, and she's like, my son, I'm feeling heartbroken every day because my son is going to get killed in 5 days. And can you please help me? And Che Guevara says, sure, no problem. I'll kill him today, so you don't have to be heartbroken for 5 days, or something like that. Anyways, I don't know if it's true. But they killed a lot of people, and they didn't do the due diligence to make sure they're all guilty, right? They just killed a lot of people. Okay, so that's what happened. These Cubans won their power. Now, Fidel Castro, I've seen him by himself live in a lot of documentaries saying, I'm not a communist, I'm not a communist, I'm not a communist, I'm not a communist. At least 20, 50 times recorded, I'm not a communist. Okay, as soon as he won the fucking thing, he went to Washington, right? He won it with American weapons and support. So he went to Washington. I think Eisenhower was a president then. He didn't want to meet with him. He sent Nixon, who was vice president, to meet with him like, you're a piece of shit, I don't want to talk to you, right? Might have been that Eisenhower was in bed with United Fruit Company and they didn't like him. Whatever it was. They didn't want to meet with him. They treated him like shit. He came back. They're trying to kill him. They try to kill him. They sent a woman with pills. They're trying to do all kinds of poison and stuff. And he was lucky and survived, right? And then they bombed the ship in the harbor. That's where, from That bombing is the picture with Che Guevara, the picture with the thing on his head that's very famous, right? Because there was a bunch of people walking on the street, and the photographer was smart enough to take a picture of all of them walking from, because they bombed the ship, they exploded a ship in it might have been from Czech Republic. They exploded a ship in a Havana harbor, right? And they killed a bunch of people, a bunch of Cuban sailors, because I think maybe they had munitions from Czech Republic. And these guys are walking from the ship disaster. They know the Americans did it. And they're all kind of upset. And they kind of isolated, because it was not a portrait. They isolated Che Guevara's face. And that became the famous revolutionary picture symbol for everybody else. Okay. And then that happens. And then Bay of Pigs happens, where they trained with the CIA and the mobster, Roselli and Sam Giancana. They trained a bunch of Cubans, the rich Cubans that left. Because Fidel Castro did the same thing that the communists did in Romania and all the other countries. They confiscated the rich people shit, and they sent a bunch of these big companies out, and they closed the casinos and whatnot. So now the mobsters are against them, the rich people are against them, United Fruit Company is against them. So they're trying to kill him now, right? They didn't want to negotiate with him. They didn't, because he didn't want to be a communist. So then they had Bay of Pigs. And somehow he found out and beat the shit out of these guys. Kennedy didn't want to send air support. He got blamed because he didn't want to send air support. Anyways, these guys they knew they were coming. We went to the Bay of Pigs. It was nothing. It's just some concrete. But all right. So they all got killed, right? Or captured. And actually, they're drinking Coca-Cola to make fun of the Americans. And then Che Guevara said, let me make our own Coca-Cola. And that's when they made that 2-Cola that's really good. It's with sugarcane. Is the best Coca-Cola I ever had. It's called 2-Cola, and they use with sugarcane. That's because of Che Guevara was making fun of the Americans, drinking Coca-Cola when they got beat. All right. So now, Fidel Castro realized, because he didn't want to be a president. Okay, in the beginning he said, I don't want to be a president. I want to have proper elections. He realized in his own mind, these guys are trying to fuck it up for me. I said, no, you're almost done. These guys are trying to fuck it up. I got to be a dictator. Now, he's only... Please put it down. Put it down. Please put it down. His only solution was, if the Americans are trying to fuck him over, to go to the Russians, right? That's his only solution. So, how do you go to the Russians? You want to be a communist, right? Because that's what they fucking have, communism. So Camilo Cienfuegos was against it. Uber Matos, the other military commander, was against it. Che Guevara and Raul Castro, almost done, buddy. Almost done. It's history.
I know.
The two guys were super communist. Okay, and they're trying to convince Fidel Castro to be communist. So he decided he's going to be communist. Uber Matos in Camagüey, who was the military leader in Camagüey, said, listen, I don't want to be a communist and this. And then Fidel Castro got really paranoid. He thought this guy is going to have a counter-revolution against him, a military operation. Sent Camilo Cienfuegos to talk to him in Camagüey, where he was the boss of, and he had absolute control of Camagüey, because he wanted to get rid of 2 people in one shot. But Camilo Cienfuegos, everybody liked him because he was good looking and funny and smart and personable. I think he could play guitar too. And he was a good leader. He was a very courageous guy, kind of like Che Guevara. So he shows up in Camagüey. Fidel Castro thought that Uber Matos is going to kill this guy. You know what I mean? And then he can blame him and kill him. But actually, Cienfuegos convinced Uber Matos to give himself up as a prisoner to go to Havana, and then Cienfuegos is going to go take care of some stuff and come in and have a fair trial for Uber Matos, right? But Uber Matos, all he said, I don't want to be a communist. That's all he said. And he didn't like the direction where Fidel Castro was trying to take the country. And Fidel Castro was deciding to be a communist, even though he said he wasn't, because they're trying to kill him and trying to invade Cuba, right? So he was forced to it. All right, so Cienfuegos then gets in a plane, and everybody says the plane disappeared. Right, disappeared. There's no more to find. He didn't get killed by Uber Matos. He got him to get arrested because he thought he could protect him, right? But Jaime Costa from the original Grandma ship, he was living in Spain, and I could find his name. It's very hard to find information about him. Jaime Costa. And he was on the original Grandma ship. He said that he was sent somewhere by Varaderos, where is that fucking bullshit resort. And he showed up by Varadero somewhere. They had a secret army base, and he saw Camilo Cienfuegos' airplane. They said, the Cubans said it fell in the sea and they couldn't find it. But the route he took, exact history, it was over land, so there's no way you're not gonna find the remains if the plane falls over land. The plane was never fell down. They killed him. So anyway, so Jaime Costa says, and this is what I think is the most accurate, that he was called to a secret house with the military. They went there with jeeps. When I get to the house, he saw Camilo Cienfuegos' plane right there, and then he could see Fidel Castro kind of pacing because he liked Cienfuegos. He didn't want to kill him. Pacing, like being upset, trying to make us up his mind. And Raul Castro's, you gotta kill him, you gotta kill him. And then one of the guys, I can't remember which one, or whatever his name is, went into the house, and then Camilo Cienfuegos, shoot my balls. That's what he said, shoot my, because he knew he was going to get killed. Shoot my balls, and they shot him, and that's it. So they buried him somewhere. And then they lied. They said that the plane went over land. Uber Matos was arrested. They had a fake trial. They put him in jail for a long time. He got out, and I think he was living in Miami. But they kept him in jail for like 30, 40 years, right? Until he wasn't a threat. And he was telling the whole story that he thinks that they killed Cienfuegos because Cienfuegos couldn't protect him anymore. All right, so this happens, and now they're 100% communist, right? Cubans are 100% communist because that's the only way to survive. And Fidel Castro became a dictator, right? But there was a lot of attempts, like small attempts to try and overthrow the country. All right. Now, the problem is, okay, so the Cubans won. All right. America's upset because and that happens with rich people. If I cannot take advantage of you, I'm going to hate you because I couldn't take advantage of you, right? And it happens. Like Parenti is trying to explain that. The CIA's job. No. It's about taking advantage of you. If I'm trying to rob you and I can't rob you, I'm going to hate you because I couldn't rob you. The problem with Cuba is they've done nothing since 1959, okay? That's their fault. It's their fault. I mean, they didn't do shit for 9 years. The same bridges the Americans built, the same houses the Americans built. If you go to Santiago, the same roads, they're all fucking broken up. The same path along the mountains, right? They haven't done absolutely nothing. They just went to Venezuela. They went to Russia first, and they begged for oil. Russia gave them oil up until when Russia broke down and stopped being communist. And then after Russia took their hand off of them, they went to Venezuela, and they're begging for oil from Venezuela and help. And Venezuela sending them money, same as Russia was, because Russia was trying to be allies against the United States. You had by the missile crisis during Kennedy, this is almost done. So the Khrushchev was the president of Russia, so he brought missiles aimed at the United States. Why? Because the United States put missiles aimed in Turkey, aimed at Russia. So it's kind of trying to blackmail the United States. So then everybody thought there was going to be a nuclear war. Everybody got scared. That's why Bob Dylan made those songs about, there's nobody on the streets. Everybody's afraid. All right. And then Kennedy talked to Khrushchev on a separate line. They ended up, hey, well, I'm going to take my missiles out of Turkey. I'm going to take my missiles out of Russia. It was a big win. And then Kennedy got killed. They're trying to blame Fidel Castro for it. Fidel Castro, Kennedy, when he got elected, they killed Patrice Lumumba. He was a good guy, maybe in Congo, one of the African countries, but it could be Congo. He was a good guy, same thing like Arbenz, good for the people, trying to help the people. They CIA, American CIA, sponsored other people to fuck them over. They arrested them and executed them, right? Kennedy was very upset because CIA did this, because he thought that the guy was a good guy. Okay. Now, when Kennedy got killed, people were trying to blame Fidel Castro. That was the idea. They blame Fidel Castro. But Fidel Castro was during an interview with a French guy, and he said, this is the worst news possible. He was visibly shaken with a French interviewer. Fidel Castro had a woman, might have been in Miami or somewhere, and Fidel Castro was talking to that woman, and that woman was talking to Kennedy. So they're talking, same thing they did with Robert Kennedy and Kennedy were talking behind American information. They had a separate phone, so nobody's listening to, and they were talking behind closed doors to Khrushchev directly, because there was a lot of people trying to get the nuclear war. Same thing he did with Fidel Castro. So they're about to make a deal, because really, Cuba didn't do anything towards America. They didn't do anything. And they have an embargo for like 80 years. Like, there's other countries that try to do stuff against America. Cuba didn't do anything. Okay. So it's not Fidel Castro involved in Kennedy. Most likely, it's the stuff that's coming up now. Maybe Israel with the mobsters and whatnot. And Lyndon Johnson. Okay. So Kennedy gets killed. and America puts an embargo against Cuba. But Cuba really didn't do anything. Same roads, same everything. They did education. They made education free, which is a huge deal because everybody was poor. Nobody knew how to read. They made free medical. They're doing the best they can with the medical. And the regular people, they had more, right? It was communist, then they have everything. But the problem with, if you look at the Middle East and if you look at Venezuela, Venezuela is one of the richest countries. They like to keep people poor because if people are poor, they're easier to rule. That's their theory throughout history. And then when I went to Cuba with Michael, my friend, he noticed something. There's no chickens in Cuba. Like, how can you not have chickens? It's got to be by design. Like chickens, they just grow, make eggs. Yeah, they have meat, right? They don't have milk, but they got meat and eggs, right? Almost done, right? So it's by design. Like you have all the stuff, like 2 cola, the best Coca-Cola I ever had. I couldn't find it. I mean, you really have to have connections to get it. Agua de Ciego de Montego, mineral water, the best I've had, very hard to get. Cristal and Boca Negra, Cuban beers, very hard to get. Right? But you can buy, this is why the embargo is kind of bullshit. You can buy Budweiser, you can buy Miller Lite, you can buy Coca-Cola, you can buy Pepsi. Like the Cuban products, who by the way are the best, like 10 times better than anything else. Not even cigars you could find, and not Havana Club rum, which is the best there is. So their internal production does not, you know what I mean? Like, you can't really blame the Americans for the embargo. I cannot make rum and cigars, you know what I mean? Because come on, how hard is it to make cigars? So the Cuban government kept using the Americans as an excuse to not do anything for the people, right? To keep the people poor. It's by design. It's not that they couldn't do it, right? Obviously, the embargo keeps the country from being rich and stuff. But then again, even like traveling to Cuba, it's fake, right? You go under the visa support for Cuban people. What? All right, let's finish it. You go under the visa support for Cuban people, right? And nobody cares. Like, we went straight in. We didn't even hide, right? And we didn't spend money with the government. We spent money with people, right?
Good.
Yeah, so, but the idea that the Cubans don't have a choice is bullshit, right? It's by design by the government. Keep them poor, not fed. Michael Moore goes and talks about the medicine. When that family was sick with the kid, I went to the pharmacies. There's really nothing on the shelves. They have nothing on the shelves, right? When she was giving birth, we had to take gloves and all kind of medicine because they had nothing, right? So everything, it's like their medicine. Maybe the doctors are smart, but they have nothing. No, you know what I mean? They're saying the medicine is good, but they have nothing, right? There's basic foods. They're not there. Okay, you know what? Let's shut it down. This is good enough. And we'll do part 2. Because I want to talk about the differences between capitalism and communism.
Boring.
What?
It's just boring.
Hey, how is it boring?
So boring.
Au revoir. Peace, Bogdan.
Bye.